Hello, listeners. Today we're wrapping up our series on Pride, and we're joined by Marti Gould Cummings, a New York City drag artist, political activist, and former city council candidate. Marti was recently named one of New York's most influential LGBTQIA people by City and State for the 5th year in a row. Marti and I discussed the criminalization of drag across the country in our own backyard, how the criminalization of drag intersects with the criminalization of trans folks, Black communities, and the attacks on civil liberties that we're seeing across the country, and so much more. So when we come back, we will be joined by Marti. Marti, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Happy Pride. Thanks for having me.
Happy Pride. Now, Marti, you've been working as a drag artist for almost a decade, and you're incredibly politically active. You're basically everywhere. You know, you're on your local community board. You ran for city council back in 2021. I remember that was, it felt very like revolutionary that you were running for city council. How did you find your voice as a public artist and as a New Yorker just fighting for political change? Do you find that these parts of your identity are distinct?
Well, I have to update my bio. I've been doing drag for 15 years now, so I gotta go edit that on my website. You know, drag is very intersectional with politics, I believe, and so it kind of came naturally, I guess, in a way. And I just try to look to, you know, other leaders in the community who are doing this work, you know, for inspiration, like Honey Mahogany and Maybe a Girl. And now in New York, we have the amazing Julie J, who's doing incredible work, Peppermint. Yeah, I just try to look to them for guidance and inspiration in this movement.
Over the last 8 years, Envision Freedom Fund has paid more than $14 million to free close to 6,000 individuals from pretrial jailing or immigration detention. Thank you to all of our donors who help us to pay the too high price for freedom. We know that paying bond will never be enough on its own to end the humanitarian crisis of incarceration and the surveillance of Black, Brown, and immigrant communities. That's why we also fight to dismantle the systems that harm our communities in the first place. If this sounds like the transformative change that you believe in, you can join us. Visit our website, envisionfreedom.org, or click the link right on our Spotify profile to donate to Envision Freedom Fund. Because freedom for all people will take all of us.
Now, I know you've probably gotten this question a lot lately, but we've seen this rush of anti-drag bills and just generally just anti-queer bills introduced in different states. Some include criminalization and prison time up to 10 years. Others include exorbitant fines, felony charges, and then just generally speaking, we've seen a wave of violence against the drag community. We know that drag spaces have long been a safe haven for Black, Brown, queer, and trans communities. Now more than ever, why should we be fighting for these spaces and for queer self-expression more broadly? Why should this fight matter to the broader public?
Well, you know, these drag bans and these drag bills that are being put into place are rooted in transphobia because a lot of the fine print in them is, like you said, with the different criminalization, is you can see somebody out on the street and say, oh, that's someone in drag, and it could be a trans person. And they're trying to eradicate trans people in our schools and our workplaces. Mm-hmm. These drag bans are really, really harmful because of that. And the good news is a lot of federal judges are overturning them, which is good. A lot of DAs in different areas are saying they're not going to prosecute these things because it's ridiculous. But we have to fight these bans and we have to fight this legislation because Pride was a riot. And like you mentioned, our queer spaces should be safe havens for everyone in our community, particularly our trans community and our Black and Brown and Indigenous and immigrant trans communities who are severely under threat and attack, with 14 murders of Black trans women in this country this year alone. You know, it's because of trans women and trans women of color that we even began the queer liberation movement. And so it's time for the entire community to stand up and protect our trans community and the folks who are marginalized within our own community.
Yep, I hear you. No, when we think about these attacks on drag, I know that like my friends think about this as happening in the South and they think about these attacks as happening in rural areas. But the reality is that they're happening in our own backyard, like right here in New York as well, and not just legislatively. I know that you're on the advisory board of Drag Story Hour NYC, whose events have been frankly terrorized and threatened by alt-right protesters for the last couple of years. Can you speak to us about these attacks? And does it surprise you that this is happening in New York?
Well, like you said, there might not be like legislation in New York. New York just passed the trans safe haven law, but these extremists are going everywhere, and the Proud Boys are showing up at Drag Story Hour, and they broke into Councilmember Eric Botcher's apartment building because of his support. Shakir, who's a council member, they like went to his house. So the online vitriol is trickling into real life. So it is really dangerous, and we have to be vigilant and aware of what's going on so we don't have another tragedy like Club Q or Pulse, because people are riled up. The alt-right has riled their base up using old tropes and talking points that Anita Bryant used against cis gay people are now being used against trans people and drag artists.
Yeah. This is sort of just like the repackaged hate that's always existed in many ways.
Yeah.
Looking for a movement experience that's safe and sustainable? Body Art Studios is passionate about helping people create a sustainable relationship with healthy movement. Envision Freedom was proud to partner with Body Art last fall for a special wellness event for our community members, many of whom are still recovering from the traumas of detention. Body Art's gentle, effective training sessions are the perfect way to prevent injuries, reduce joint pain, and improve your overall quality of life without aggressive or abusive fitness workouts. Body Art will enhance your movement and elevate your life. So what are you waiting for? Experience the difference for yourself at Body Art Studios. Text SCHEDULE to 917-810-3075 or follow them on Instagram at bodyart.nyc. Body Art Studios. Enhance movement, elevate life.
So now we're seeing this war waged on civil liberties across the country, on the rights of Black folks, trans folks, immigrants, people's bodily autonomy, like when we think about reproductive rights. How do you see the fight to protect drag connected to these struggles?
Well, it's intersectional. Reproductive justice is a queer issue that impacts women, non-binary people, trans men. Gender-affirming healthcare is part of body autonomy. So to me, it's all intersectional, and we have to work in tandem and in togetherness to ensure that the true history of our country is taught, that we're not erasing diversity and inclusion in our schools or places of work or universities, making sure that critical race theory is not eliminated, making sure that teachers are allowed to help talk to queer students in a safe way. So it's all intersectional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you think about it in Florida, there's like the don't say gay bills, and then but you also can't say Black either. So it's
Well,
like
DeSantis is a whole nother. I mean, he's just unhinged and dangerous.
yeah, and sadly he's, a leader amongst the right. Well, amidst all of this, where do you look for inspiration and courage and hope?
Well, I believe hope is an act of resistance. The right wants us to lose hope. They want us to feel beaten down. They want us to feel defeated. And so we have to continue to push forward. And, I feel like every pride we hear, like, love is love. But no, it's pride is ensure our trans people live and survive. That's what the message needs to be now. And for hope, like I said, I look to like leaders like Honey Mahogany, who's just incredible, and my friend Julie J here in the city, who just did a big event, stand up NYC at $3 bill, which raised like $30,000 for Black trans organizations. I look to my friend Maybe, who's running for Congress in California. You know, they give me inspiration. They give me hope. Maury Turner, who's a friend of mine, who's the first non-binary person elected in this country. They're a state representative in Oklahoma. You know, there's a lot of people doing incredible work. Queen Jean, who's an incredible trans leader here in New York City. These folks who are out there on the street, on boots on the ground, really, really doing the work. And I hope to be just a small part of that.
I can say that, you know, you've been more than a small part of it. I remember your city council race. It was incredibly powerful. It was powerful to hear someone, you know, really speaking to the values of folks that are marginalized and have faced oppression at like the intersections that you named.
Thanks.
Last question. Pride, of course, you know, can never be contained by a single month. We have a lot of allies that listen to this podcast. What should allies be doing to support Pride? And I think just even more importantly, to support queer and trans liberation beyond the month of June.
Yeah, well, Pride, you know, we're still here July 1st, you know? And at the end of the day, these right-wing legislators, they're not going to listen to us. They're going to listen to the larger voting bloc, which is straight people. Yes, queer people get out and vote, and we're 10% of the population, which is great. But our allies need to be vocal, not just when they go to vote, but in the halls of state houses, city councils. Be vocal. Go to the hearings. Go to the conferences. Use your voice. School board is the most important elected position in this country right now because school boards are the ones deciding what is taught and what isn't taught and how we treat students. So go to those school board meetings, have those uncomfortable conversations at the dinner table with family members who are bigots, you know? And if you're financially capable, donate to organizations that are doing the work on the ground in these communities. If you have the capacity, volunteer for organizations that are doing the work. Because it's going to take all of us to achieve queer liberation, and we can't do it without our straight allies, and we need them to stand up. And these corporations who are sitting Pride out this year because they're afraid of backlash, we will remember. I think it's important for corporations to not just rainbow wash during June, but to really stick with us and not back down to the alt-right, because the reality is 84%, I think it's 84% of Americans support not having discriminatory laws against LGBTQIA plus people. They support queer people. So it's a small minority who happens to be very loud.
Absolutely. Well, Marti, thank you so much for joining us. And listeners, you know, as Marti said, Pride was a riot. And most importantly, Pride doesn't end on June 30th. This ends our series on Pride, but you know, keep the fight going on July 1st.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, we were truly honored. Thanks again for joining us. Dismantling Injustice is brought to you by Envision Freedom Fund, an organization that works to transform the immigration and criminal legal systems while meeting the critical needs of individuals impacted by these systems daily. To learn more about our work and donate, visit us at envisionfreedom.org. That's envisionfreedom.org. Dismantling Injustice was created by Sally Israel. Our executive producer is Abigail Wolf and hosted by Carl Hammett Lipscomb. That's me. Special thanks to the team at Envision Freedom for being amazing. Until we're all free, peace out.